Hello, good morning. I hope this time is good. I had 3 starts today that I had to redo. That's part of life, having to restart. And we're coming into Doctrinal today because the gospel passage is one of the big inspirational passages of the architecture here. And particularly in this case, the columns. In Luke chapter 8, verse 3, we find Jesus traveling through Galilee, and he's being accompanied by Mary Magdalene and Susanna and Johanna, the wife of Chusa, who was Herod's chief administrator. And then we have many others over here. And these 3 pillars come straight out of the text we have today. 3 of the women are named, but there were many, many others. They were obviously named because of their leadership role. They were prominent and very generous helpers, supporters, benefactors of Jesus' ministry. And that's why Doctrinal is designed to honor women and their great role, also a point of entry for so many people into the mystery of Christ. How many of us can thank our moms and our grandmothers and teachers for their role in opening our hearts for faith? But maybe not just for faith, but especially for mercy. And a mother is very effective, and a grandmother especially as well, in helping a child to reconcile with a sibling, to learn the path of mercy, to learn the path of generosity and kindness. And the woman's heart has that tenderness and is very sensitive to others. It also says that many of these women had terrible trouble, terrible problems. They were very distressed for many different reasons, some of them for external reasons, some of them for internal reasons, maybe some of them for health issues, some of them for issues of lack of respect and dignity. And in the contact with Jesus, they were strengthened in their genuine vocation and calling and nature to follow the path of mercy and goodness, and not the path of violence and power and imposition. And all these evil spirits that often dominate the world today in all times, where people think that just by force and by power it's possible to shout down the other, it's possible to condemn the other. People think that that makes life more productive, more efficient, safer. But the only way to make life safer is through love. That a culture of love, a culture of respect, not a culture of violence, should prevail in our human relationships. And we often grab a stick or a sword or a gun to impose our will, and now with many more sophisticated instruments. And one forgets the heart of mercy. And so the women have a very special calling for God as love and God as mercy, to educate humanity, to lead humanity toward kindness and forgiveness, reconciliation, helpfulness, support, nurturing, patience. These are extraordinary qualities of strength that water the garden of the soul and allow us to flourish as human beings. There was a huge wall of darkness today along the horizon, so it's good that we came in. And sometimes there's a big wall of darkness along the horizon of people's minds and hearts and souls. And it's addressed today in the first reading and also in the Psalm about the focal attention that many human beings give to wealth, to acquiring wealth, to building properties. And the goal of life becomes to increase wealth. And that leads also to, many times, to great violence, to robbery, to plunder, to aggression, to wars, to control resources, but also to great disputes within families over inheritance, to great pressure people put on themselves to produce more in order to have more, in order to do better. But doing better may actually be to spare ourselves the horrendous path of the torture that we impose on ourselves by work ethics that are not according to the dignity of the human being. We are not made for work. Work is a resource for us. It's part of the path of development. Work is a great blessing. To be without work is a great scourge. But work itself is not our salvation. It's a path of encounter with the living God and coordination and with God. We are free beings and we're given dominion of the earth. But a dominion that's ennobling ourselves and not enslaving ourselves. And many times that's what happens. People become enslaved to material things and they become our masters. And how to recover the dignity of the human person in the arenas of production and property management and goals in life. Because the biggest goal in life is not to have stuff. These women of the Gospels dedicated their resources to doing good, to the common good. And that's why also it's so noble to see people volunteer, because people volunteer not to get money. They freely give themselves without charging and give of their experience, their time, their resources. They travel on their own expense to serve. They maintain themselves while they're serving others. And thanks be to God, in our world today, we can rejoice that there are many, many volunteers like Mary Magdalene, like Susanna, like Johanna, who are all over the world volunteering in so many capacities. And in a certain sense, when you look at family life, nobody pays mom a salary for being mom or dad a salary for being dad. Everybody chips in out of love. It's like a mutual covenant of, I'm going to volunteer for you my whole life. I'm going to give myself for you. I am completely with you all the way to build up a life. What an amazing way to live. What an extraordinary way to live. If somebody is very critical of prosperity gospel message, this text today is very important, worth reading. Check on the link there in the first letter of Timothy, chapter 6. And one of the points I would like to underline is the following of that, and with that we'll finish. it says, how when we give our heart to riches, we plunge ourselves, that's the verb that's used, we plunge ourselves into many troubles. We're falling into a trap, into many foolish and harmful desires which plunge us into ruin and destruction. And this is not just true of money desire, it's also true of pleasure desire that's out of bounds. There's great pleasure in eating a peach and an ice cream, in a beautiful view of nature. There are so many wonderful pleasures. These guys are, although it must be very noisy up there, they are enjoying themselves. But the pleasures of life, of athletes, the pleasures of winning a race, the pleasures of also of seeing beautiful work done, these are wonderful pleasures, but we can't chase the pleasures like they're the ultimate source. And when we plunge after pleasures, after money, after anger, another one, anger demands actions and it looks for revenge and it can be destructive. And if we follow that, we plunge ourselves into ruin and destruction. The best way to avoid ruin and destruction is to live a life of friendship with God. People, God bless you. See you later, alligators. Let's all join these women of the Gospels in doing good, in volunteering, in being generous, in being supportive. What an example that still has such appeal today, thanks be to God, and motivates so many people. One last look at these guys up here. There's another one over here. Where are you? There's two of them up here. I don't get both of them in the screen. There you are. And then there's another guy gone over there. And so these beautiful sun rays are coming into our life today. God bless you.